It's as simple as a sunset, as timeless as the sea. First, find the most spectacular landscape in the world. Then watch and listen. The trees, the stars, the hilltops will work their magic on your soul. The walls will turn to windows. The rooms will welcome guests, then disappear. And when you finally have to leave, your private islands will stay with you forever. The Philippines lie far across the ocean and have a history as old as time. Here in these 7,000 islands, you'll find resorts tucked away on isolated beaches, in turn-of-the-century hotels, and poolside haciendas. You may arrive by private yacht or private plane, by catamaran or carabao. You may sleep in a luxurious casita by the ocean, or a presidential suite that overlooks Manila Bay. But whether you wake up to the sound of the South China Sea or the fragrance of rare tropical flowers, you'll wonder if you've died and gone to heaven. Because if there are beaches in paradise, you can be sure they'll look like these. Whether you're here in the Philippines to sunbathe or scuba dive, there's one place that's a perfect jumping-off point for your visit to these waters. Filipinos call it the Queen City of the South. You'll know it as Cebu. This bustling metropolis is the oldest city in the Philippines. Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan landed here in 1521. He wasted no time planting a cross to thank God for his safe journey. Then he promptly converted the local royalty to Christianity and baptized them on the spot. Over the centuries, taking chips off the original cross got to be so popular that they had to build a shrine around it. Now, candles are the only relics for sale, along with blessings to go with them. As it turned out, Magellan didn't last too long. Across the bridge you'll find Mactan Island, where the native chieftain Lapu Lapu killed the famous explorer and drowned his body in the surf. They're big on local history here, and it's easy to follow. Just read the monuments. Mactan Island sports a lineup of luxury hotels from which to set off snorkeling or scuba diving. Not that there isn't plenty to do on land. Play a round of golf or catch up on your suntan while you get over jet lag. Resorts like the luxurious Mactan Island Shangri-La are used to welcoming travelers from all around the world. The airy mix of modern comforts and native hospitality lets you ease into the rhythms of this faraway land. All around you, vestiges of a colonial past blend with local crafts and unobtrusive service. They'll be happy to suggest a trip to the local shell boutique or take you on a deep-sea dive to find your own. The Philippines may be only a hop, skip, and a jump from Hong Kong or Singapore, but it's a full day's journey from New York or London. One world traveler whose roots are in the Philippines is international designer Josie Natori. You can see the influence of these islands in everything she does. From the exquisite fabrics and embroideries that are her trademark, to the way she shares them with the world. Josie captures the essence of this surprisingly sophisticated culture. Her designs sparkle like the Asian skies and sunsets. Their graceful shapes drift across the runway in wave after wave of sheer, brilliant color. It's no wonder that after 30 years away, Josie still calls these islands home.
It was always very clear to me that from the day Josie started the business that she had some fervent mission in her mind, and that was to bring to the forefront to the world the Philippines. The Philippines is just such a beautiful country, and it is unfortunately very under-publicized, and Josie has always wanted to have the Philippines make a much more important contribution and make it world-class.
If you know Josie, it's hard to believe she ever suffers from jet lag. In fact, whether she's in New York, Paris, or Manila, she hardly ever seems to sleep. We caught up with her as she took Travel and Leisure magazine on a whirlwind tour of the islands she's so proud to share.
I think part of it is that there's a lot of interest in Southeast Asia, and we are always looking at sort of not only hot destinations, but trying to anticipate new destinations. And I think the Philippines have been somewhat untapped for Western travelers. I don't think that people have considered it as a sort of tourist resort area to go. And Vietnam is very popular. It's very close to Vietnam. People go to Hong Kong on business. So it seemed like it was just waiting to be discovered.
In keeping with the Filipino tradition of hospitality, Josie invited us to come along for the ride.
I was discovering the Philippines at the same time. You know, I hadn't really been to these places. I knew in my heart we have the most beautiful places, but I had never had the opportunity.
It was like one big caravan of taking Philippines from top to bottom, going to mountains and sea and cities and taking it all in.
First stop, Davao, for a photo shoot that featured everything from fishing boats to flowers. Blessed with an exotic Muslim heritage and a balmy climate, Davao is a jewel set in the South China Sea. Josie's journey took us from its famous orchid gardens to the secluded Samal Islands that lie just offshore. Native divers once gathered priceless rainbow-colored pearls from these blue-green waters. Today, the Pearl Farm Resort captures both the spirit and the splendor of that tribal heritage for its guests. The Parolo Bar was once the local watchtower, and the villas were designed to look like the native huts on stilts above the Pearl Lagoon. The waters of the swimming pool slip into the horizon as the fantasy is captured on film.
I had her put this on so we can see. It have to be iron. Yeah, sorry. Because it's getting in the way. It was a wonderful thing having Travel and Leisure magazine, seeing the Philippines through my eyes, and the whole crew just really to cover it and to be able to show. I was proud. I was just wishing you could fly right here. In Davao, it's way down in the south. It is absolutely the most magnificent sight you ever see. Yeah. Okay. Pag-shoot sa'yo, relax ka lang. It'll be lower, parang gano'n, parang high. Yeah. That's nice. That's great. Okay, parang let's fly. Yeah.
Reality intrudes with the logistics of our next stop. We're headed for an island so remote it has a runway all its own. So exclusive, they really don't want much publicity.
No, it's not. It's only one place there.
It's a little hard to get to, especially with a film crew in tow. But then that's the whole point.
Because what is the story now? Did you get a boat, a plane to get you to Amampulo? How many will it seat? So we can all ride with you?
Our magic carpet ride took us over spectacular rolling hills and mountains far below.
He said the volcano up ahead was active last year. And we're going to go straight through it.
We searched the vast blue waters for a speck of land. Then suddenly, the glimmer of twinkling lights lit up the darkening sky. This is one great place to be shipwrecked.
Yes, Miss Earhart.
Amanpulo. Its name means peaceful island, and instantly you will feel right at home. Your casita hugs the hillside or hides behind the trees. It's one of fewer than 40 on the island. A serene simplicity reflects off every polished tabletop and marble counter. The bathroom is big enough to entertain you. But you won't want to share this space with strangers. You'll have your own set of wheels, but there's really no place to go.
Oh, honey. Howdy, partner. Happy to be here.
Of course, our crew is here to work. Really, in between mimosas, there's a shoot or two. It's a photographer's dream come true. With sets like these, each picture is truly worth 1,000 words. The sand is as white as sugar. The water a turquoise blue you'll find nowhere else on earth. It seems a crime to work all day here in this wonderland. After a while, it's simpler just to watch the sunset or join the search for giant clams. Though these waters teem with tigerfish and shark, it's tempting just to linger by the shores where time stands still. But the rest of these 7,000 islands are waiting for their moment in the spotlight.
Also very dramatic were the rice terraces in the north, which gave us a completely different kind of setting, mountainous and terraced. I mean, it's the eighth wonder of the world. I haven't seen all seven, but I'd say it's pretty staggering. And we had a helicopter land on a rice terrace there. So it had just a different character when we were trying to sort of tap into different areas, different colors, different natives, different crafts in the Philippines. So that was part of our escapade.
Your journey to the Philippines inevitably takes you to Manila, a thriving, bustling city where the only thing more crowded than the streets are the equally colorful nightclubs. To get around by day, flag down a passing jeepney, appropriately nicknamed Folk Art on Wheels. 50 years ago, enterprising Filipinos turned discarded American Army jeeps into these shuttle buses after World War II. Hop on or off at will. If it's too crowded, your fellow passengers will be only too happy to pass your pesos up front to the driver. By night, fight for a space on the dance floor or the table at a local discotheque. The odds are good. There seem to be at least 2 pretty girls for every guy. Next morning, take in a little more of the local scenery in and around Manila. Just an hour outside the city is the resort and coconut plantation known as Villa Escudero. It recreates the flavor of the Spanish occupation of these islands. Is it a museum? Yes, with a private collection that ranges from religious art to relics of World War II. Is it a restaurant? Yes, if you don't mind getting your feet wet while you drink in the sights and sounds of native culture.
That experience really was quite exciting. It was a total surprise having lunch, taking off your shoes. I wasn't dressed for it. I mean, I had to roll up these things, but the experience of the beautiful table setting there, everything revolved around food, and it was really wonderful. It was very therapeutic, having like a foot massage and you're eating at the same time, listening to music, and then hearing the waterfall. It was quite an experience. We were able to get a quick glimpse of what you could see around the country, because that is what Villa Escudero was able to show for those who doesn't have the time to go to all the other islands. It kind of gives a quick glimpse of the Philippines, and being able to show, my guests here, the kind of Philippine. I mean, I think that was Philippine hospitality in a very spectacular kind of way.
Villa Escudero is also a hotel, where your cottage overlooks the peaceful lily pads, and the only sound is the occasional carabao wagon full of tourists passing by. The Spanish weren't the only ones to leave their mark here in the Philippines. General Douglas MacArthur made the historic Manila Hotel his headquarters during World War II. The American influence in more recent years left this the 3rd largest English-speaking nation in the world. Today, this landmark is still the perfect way to escape the hustle and bustle of Manila Bay. Watch the sunset, then make a reservation for a candlelight dinner in the famous champagne room. Despite its image as a third world nation, there seems to be plenty of glamour left in Manila.
Manila Hotel was that thing. It's always been, when I was growing up, it was the hotel. It's very special, and I think it represents another side of the Philippines, a very elegant, reminds me very much of what my grandmother is about. I mean, really very gracious and very elegant and very the Spanish influence, Spanish American in many ways.
Everyone looking at the camera, ready, steady, go.
It's a very glittery room. Obviously, you have champagne, you select a cigar, very fine food, and it was great fun to have them all at the table. Alberto Gili, our photographer, was, I think he liked bringing all those elements together.
That is beautiful.
So it was kind of a nice, elegant finale to all the locations we shot. It was the very last one we did.
When you really think about the Champagne Room at Manila Hotel, you think that is elegant dining at its ultimate. Could rival having dinner in Paris, the best restaurant in Paris.
But you'll find more than gourmet food and gentle music here. A welcome that extends to everyone they meet. A sense of style, of beauty, of color that blends their unique past into a vivid future. A love of home and family that celebrates the birth of a new baby and the return of a local girl who's made a name for herself around the world. These are their 7,000 very private islands, but they'll gladly share them, one and all, with you.